The Akashic records are often described as a vast, invisible library, but that image barely captures their true nature. They are not books stored somewhere beyond the stars. They are living memory, a conscious field that holds every thought, choice, emotion, and intention your soul has ever carried, not just in this lifetime, but across all of them. When we speak of the Akashic records, we are speaking about the soul's own remembrance of itself. At the deepest level, your soul never forgets where it has been. It remembers every lesson learned through love and loss, every promise made before entering a body, every moment where it chose growth over comfort. The Akashic records are the place where those experiences remain alive, shaping who you are long before your conscious mind can understand why you feel, react, or long the way you do. This is why certain connections feel immediate and overwhelming. When you encounter your twin flame, you are not meeting a stranger. You are activating memory. The soul recognizes what the mind cannot yet explain. The Akashic records hold the energetic blueprint of that shared origin, and when two twin flames cross paths, that blueprint begins to resonate. It's not nostalgia, it's remembrance. Within this field, every incarnation adds another layer to the soul's evolution. Joy, betrayal, devotion, separation, and reunion are all recorded not as judgments, but as wisdom. The records do not punish or reward, they inform. They gently guide the soul toward balance and completion. For twin flames, this guidance is especially precise because both halves of the same soul are evolving in parallel, even when separated by time, culture, or circumstance. The Akashic memory also explains why twin flame connections often awaken buried emotions so quickly. Fear, longing, trust issues, or unconditional love may surface without warning. These feelings are not random. They are echoes. They arise because the soul recognizes unresolved patterns stored in its own history. The records bring them forward not to cause pain, but to invite healing. Accessing this memory does not require special powers. It happens naturally through intuition, dreams, sudden insights, and moments of deep inner knowing. When something inside you whispers, "This matters more than you know," that is the soul remembering itself. For twin flames, this inner voice often becomes louder after the first meeting, as the Akashic bond begins to activate more fully. Understanding the Akashic records as the memory of the soul shifts the entire twin flame journey. It reminds you that nothing about this connection is accidental. Every meeting, delay, and lesson is part of a much larger story your soul agreed to write long before this lifetime began. Before time was measured in years or lives, consciousness existed as wholeness. There was no separation, no sense of other. The soul knew itself as complete. The moment the soul split was not a fracture born from loss, but an intentional expansion. One consciousness chose to experience itself through two distinct expressions, each carrying the same essence, yet destined to walk different paths through time. This division did not create two incomplete beings, it created two mirrors. Each twin flame carried within them the full potential of the original soul, but expressed through unique perspectives, challenges, and environments. One may embody stillness, while the other embodies movement. One may lean toward intuition, the other toward action. These differences were not mistakes, they were design. From that moment forward, the journey became dual. Two streams flowing from the same source, moving through separate incarnations, cultures, and lessons. Sometimes these streams ran close, crossing in lifetimes where love was allowed to bloom. Other times, they drifted far apart, incarnating in eras or places where reunion was impossible. Yet even in separation, the connection was never lost. Consciousness does not forget itself. Each lifetime added depth to the soul's understanding. One twin flame might learn devotion through sacrifice, while the other learns independence through solitude. One might experience power and responsibility, the other humility and surrender. These experiences were gathered not to divide the soul further, but to enrich it. What one learned, the soul learned. What one healed, the soul healed. This is why twin flames often feel drawn to opposite roles during awakening. The runner and the chaser are not enemies. They are reflections of unresolved polarities within the same consciousness. The split was never meant to create conflict, but contrast. Contrast is what allows awareness to deepen. The moment the souls split also created a silent agreement. No matter how far apart the journeys traveled, they would eventually influence one another. Through intuition, synchronicities, sudden emotional shifts, and unexplainable longing, one path would always signal the other. Growth in one would activate growth in both. When twin flames meet in the physical world, it is not the first encounter. It is the moment two journeys briefly converge, allowing the soul to witness itself from the outside. Recognition happens instantly, even if confusion follows. Something ancient stirs, because the consciousness remembers its original wholeness. Understanding the soul's split reframes the entire twin flame experience. It was never about searching for a missing half. It was about two complete expressions of the same consciousness learning, evolving, and eventually remembering that they were always one, exploring itself through two sacred journeys. Time does not erase experience. It only changes the form through which the soul remembers it. What we call past lives are not distant stories locked away in another era. They are active layers of consciousness still influencing the present moment. For twin flames, these layers are especially alive. The connection carries memory forward, allowing unfinished lessons, emotions, and vows to surface again when the timing is right. Across different incarnations, twin flames often met under very different circumstances. In some lives, love was allowed to flourish openly. In others, it was restricted by culture, duty, distance, or fear. There were lifetimes where one chose safety over love, and others where love demanded sacrifice. Each of these choices left an energetic imprint, not as guilt, but as experience waiting to be understood more fully. These imprints explain why certain emotions arise so quickly in a twin flame connection. An intense fear of abandonment may be rooted in a lifetime where separation came through death or war. A deep sense of responsibility for the other's pain may echo a life where one twin flame failed to protect or remain present. Even the feeling of instant trust or devotion can be the continuation of promises once made and never forgotten by the soul. The Akashic memory of these lives does not surface logically. It appears emotionally and energetically. You may feel drawn to your twin flame in ways that defy reason, or feel triggered by behaviors that seem minor on the surface. These reactions are not about the present moment alone. They are signals that the soul recognizes a familiar pattern, asking to be healed. Past lives also shape the roles twin flames tend to assume. One may instinctively lead while the other follows, mirroring dynamics established long ago. One may resist commitment, carrying the memory of freedom once lost. The other may crave union, remembering lifetimes where love was repeatedly taken away. These tendencies are not flaws. They are echoes calling for balance. What makes this lifetime different is awareness. In earlier incarnations, twin flames often repeated the same themes unconsciously. Now, the soul seeks resolution rather than repetition. The emotional intensity of the connection is not meant to overwhelm, but to awaken. Each trigger is an invitation to respond differently than before, to choose healing instead of reenactment. When past life echoes are met with compassion rather than judgment, the soul begins to release old burdens. Forgiveness happens not only between twin flames, but within the self. As these layers clear, the connection becomes less about pain and more about presence. Understanding that past lives still echo in the present brings relief. It explains why this bond feels larger than one lifetime and why its challenges feel so meaningful. You are not starting from zero. You are continuing a story your soul has been writing for a very long time, now with the opportunity to bring it into harmony. Long before this lifetime began, before names, bodies, and circumstances took shape, the soul made agreements. These were not contracts in the human sense, bound by obligation or control. They were conscious choices rooted in growth, love, and evolution. Divine soul contracts are the understandings formed in higher awareness, outlining the experiences a soul wishes to encounter in order to expand. For twin flames, these agreements are especially intricate. The soul did not simply choose to meet its mirror again. It chose how and when, and under what conditions awakening would occur. Some contracts were written to activate healing, others to dismantle illusions, and many were designed to trigger remembrance of the soul's true nature through the intensity of connection. These contracts often include periods of union and separation. From a human perspective, separation feels like failure or delay. From the soul's perspective, it is preparation. Separation creates space for individual growth, forcing each twin flame to confront wounds, patterns, and fears that could not be resolved while leaning on the other. The agreement was never to remain apart forever, but to mature into alignment. This is why timing feels so mysterious in twin flame journeys. You may sense that reunion is inevitable, yet unreachable in the present. Divine contracts are activated not by desire alone, but by readiness. When certain inner thresholds are crossed, self-worth reclaimed, fear softened, identity stabilized, the next phase of the agreement naturally unfolds. Soul contracts also explain why twin flames often meet during pivotal life transitions. The meeting rarely happens when life is comfortable or predictable. It occurs when the soul is primed for transformation. Careers shift, relationships end, belief systems dissolve. These changes are not accidents. They are clauses in the contract designed to clear the path for deeper truth. Importantly, divine soul contracts do not override free will. They offer opportunities, not guarantees. Each twin flame must still choose growth over avoidance, honesty over fear. When one resists the contract, the connection may stall, intensify, or temporarily dissolve, not as punishment, but as feedback. Understanding soul contracts removes the pressure to force outcomes. It invites trust instead of control. The journey stops being about chasing reunion and becomes about honoring the agreement through conscious living. Healing yourself becomes an act of alignment, not just personal growth. When viewed through this lens, the twin flame path is no longer chaotic or cruel. It is precise. Every encounter, delay, and lesson carries intention. The contract was written with love, not to bind you to another, but to guide you back to your most authentic self. Separation is often experienced as the most painful chapter of the twin flame journey. Yet from the perspective of the Akashic records, it is never an accident or a punishment. It is a recorded phase of evolution. Just as union carries meaning, separation also holds intention. The Akasha preserves it not as a failure, but as a necessary movement of the soul toward balance and truth. In the Akashic field, separation is documented as a turning point. It marks moments when the soul required distance in order to mature. When twin flames come together too early, before wounds are acknowledged or identity is stabilized, the intensity of the connection can overwhelm rather than awaken. Separation creates the conditions for clarity. It removes distraction and forces each soul to face itself without projection. This is why separation often activates deep inner work. Old fears rise to the surface. Abandonment wounds, self-worth issues, control patterns, and emotional dependencies become impossible to ignore. The Akashic records hold these moments because they represent growth through self-confrontation. The soul learns who it is when the mirror is no longer physically present. Separation is also recorded because it reshapes consciousness. During distance, the twin flame bond does not dissolve, it internalizes. The connection moves from external validation to inner integration. Instead of seeking wholeness through the other, the soul begins to reclaim it within. This shift is critical, and the Akasha preserves it as a milestone in the journey. From a higher view, separation allows karmic threads to untangle. In many twin flame paths, past life vows, unresolved grief, or imbalanced dynamics resurface after reunion. Time apart gives the soul space to release these layers without creating new wounds. Healing that happens in separation benefits both, even when only one is consciously aware of the process. The Akashic records also reflect that separation serves awakening asymmetrically. Often, one twin flame appears to pull away, while the other feels left behind. Yet both are evolving. The one who withdraws is learning to confront fear and emotional responsibility. The one who remains is learning self-sovereignty and unconditional love without attachment. These lessons are complementary, not unequal. Importantly, the Akasha does not record separation as permanent, unless the soul chooses stagnation. It records it as a phase that continues only as long as its lesson remains unintegrated. When awareness deepens and patterns dissolve, the energetic need for distance weakens naturally. Understanding that separation is written into the soul's memory reframes the pain. It becomes meaningful rather than senseless. It reassures you that what feels like loss is actually alignment in progress. The Akashic records remind us that nothing is wasted on the twin flame path, not even the moments that break the heart. Every distance carries purpose, and every pause holds the potential for deeper reunion, within and beyond form. Activation and awakening mark the moment when the soul's deeper memory begins to surface. It is not sudden enlightenment, but a gradual unveiling. When the Akashic records begin to open, the soul starts remembering itself beyond this lifetime. For twin flames, this process is often triggered by the connection itself, as if the meeting acts as a key that unlocks what was always waiting. This activation does not announce itself dramatically. It often begins quietly, through subtle shifts in awareness. You may notice heightened intuition, vivid dreams, or an unexplainable pull towards spiritual topics you once ignored. Time may feel distorted around thoughts of your twin flame, and moments of inner knowing arise without logical explanation. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the soul is reconnecting with its stored wisdom. As the records open, emotional patterns intensify. Old wounds surface not to punish, but to be seen clearly. Fear, longing, joy, and grief may arrive in waves, sometimes without an external trigger. The Akashic field is releasing information in the form most accessible to the human experience, feeling. Through emotion, the soul integrates lessons that the mind alone cannot process. Synchronicities often multiply during this phase. Repeating numbers, shared symbols, mirrored experiences, and sudden encounters feel too precise to dismiss. These events are reflections of alignment between inner awareness and the larger soul plan. The records are not predicting the future. They are responding to consciousness becoming ready to receive. Awakening also reshapes identity. Beliefs about love, purpose, and self begin to dissolve. You may feel called to release old roles or relationships that no longer resonate. This can feel destabilizing, as if the ground beneath you is shifting. In truth, the soul is recalibrating to a higher frequency of truth. What no longer aligns falls away naturally. Importantly, activation does not require both twin flames to awaken simultaneously. One may experience profound inner changes, while the other appears distant or unchanged. Yet the Akashic connection ensures that growth in one influences the other energetically. The awakening is shared at the soul level, even when expressed differently in the physical world. As the records open further, the need for external validation decreases. Guidance begins to come from within. Decisions feel clearer, even when difficult. The journey becomes less about chasing outcomes and more about honoring inner alignment. This is a sign that the soul is integrating its history rather than being controlled by it. Activation and awakening are not the end of the twin flame path. They are the beginning of conscious participation in it. When the Akashic records begin to open, the soul remembers that nothing about this journey is random. Every step is an invitation to live with greater awareness, trust, and authenticity, guided by a wisdom far older than the present moment. Rewriting the timeline does not mean erasing what has already happened. It means changing the way the soul carries its history. In the Akashic sense, the past is not fixed in the way the mind imagines. It remains active, responsive to awareness. When healing occurs in the present, it reaches backward and forward at the same time, altering how the soul moves through its future. For twin flames, this process begins when old patterns are met consciously. Reactions that once felt automatic start to slow down. Emotional triggers become signals rather than commands. This is how the timeline begins to shift. The soul is no longer repeating lessons blindly. It is integrating them. Each time fear is replaced with presence, the Akashic imprint softens. Healing the past often looks quiet on the outside. It happens through forgiveness that no one else witnesses, boundaries that honor self-respect, and choices that break familiar cycles. These moments may seem small, but they carry immense weight in the soul's record. The Akasha responds to consciousness, not drama. When awareness deepens, the energetic trajectory changes. As healing stabilizes, the future begins to reorganize itself. Opportunities align differently. Encounters feel more supportive than destabilizing. The connection with the twin flame shifts from intensity toward clarity. Whether reunion happens in physical form or remains energetic, the bond becomes less about longing and more about mutual resonance. This is where divine timing reveals its meaning. It is not a delay imposed from outside, but a natural response to inner alignment. When the soul no longer seeks completion through another, it becomes capable of sharing wholeness. This internal shift rewrites the potential outcomes available on the timeline. Rewriting the timeline also releases attachment to specific endings. The future stops being a fixed image and becomes an open field. The soul learns to trust that whatever unfolds will reflect its current state of awareness. This trust is not passive, it is rooted in self-responsibility and conscious choice. Ultimately, aligning the future through healing the past is about sovereignty. The soul steps out of repetition and into authorship. The twin flame journey transforms from a cycle of longing into a path of integration. What was once a story of separation becomes a living expression of unity, regardless of form. In this space, the timeline is no longer something that happens to you. It becomes something you participate in, guided by remembrance, presence, and a deep respect for the soul's evolving truth. If this journey through the Akashic records and the twin flame path resonated with your heart, I invite you to engage with the channel. Like this video, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comments. Your story and insights help create a conscious, supportive community. If you feel called to support this work even further, you can contribute directly through the Super Thanks option below the video. Your support allows this channel to continue bringing deep, meaningful content to those who need it most. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for walking this path of remembrance with us. Stay connected. In the next video, we'll go even deeper into the hidden layers of the twin flame journey and what they reveal about your soul's purpose.